Yeshiva si yevta Melaveh
This medrash has come back strongly from Corona episode, back minyanim every morning, mincha, mariv, shiurim, daf yomi. The medrash is open in the morning till midday. People learning, davening. It's second home, a home away from home. On Shabbos, we're active. The Rav's home is open to everybody. It's a shul of Torah, Tefillah, and Chesed. The mikveh is open, and we're here tonight to give chizuk, give us the chance, the resources to be able to continue the wonderful work that the Rav and Rebbetzin do in the Kehillah. Our good friend, Reb Zev Brenner, noted personality on the media, close to many political figures, make an introduction.
Good luck, everybody. Thank everybody for coming. Many may be aware that Mayor Eric Adams was supposed to come, was on his schedule, and he was looking forward to being here with us tonight, but unfortunately something came up, and the minute that something came up, he called Menashe Shapiro, Deputy Chief of Staff, who was scheduled to be someplace else. He said, you got to get to the shul right away, deliver personal greetings. So let me welcome Menashe Shapiro.
Tonight. But the mayor, as everybody has seen, especially in recent months, has demonstrated his steadfast commitment, not just to Israel and what's going on in Israel, but also to protecting the Jewish community here in New York.
The Rav's grandson, Rabbi Melech, David Melech, Reuben, come up and make a siyum, cover the yard site of Rabbi Zev Tzvi Vorhand Zatzal.
Anyone that goes into Rabbi Vorhand Shul knows that he feels right away that there's somebody that cares about him, and there's a warm place, whether it's for a minyan, whether it's for a suda, whether it's for chizuk, whether it's for shidduchim, for any community service in the Jewish community that's needed is done warmly through Rabbi Vorhand, and he's somebody that's only there just for the community. That's what he's there for. And everyone really has a big akar satay for that. I would like to recite the Hadran.
We have now the honor of the Rav Shlita will say the bracha, the kavod, the siyum for the tata, and the kavod, the mesiba. Rav Vorhand Shlita.
Objective is Yichvayt Hashem L'Olam. When we come, Ashkenaz has Baruch She'omar before Haidu. Sfard has Baruch She'omar after Haidu. But when it comes to Yichvayt Hashem L'Olam, we're all equal. That's when the davening, the Sfard and Ashkenaz both daven the same way. So the point is, Yichvayt, the honor of Hashem is forever, and that's eternal, and that's the objective. Being brought up in our Kehillah, which the father, my Tata Zachen Vrocha, was the Rav in Prague, there was no difference. There was no difference of any Yid. Every Yid is precious, is a diamond. You have to see that in every person. Everyone has different chunos and different capabilities. And that's what we have to see in each other. We have to see that everyone's so dear. When someone walks into the shul, we have to make him feel good. It doesn't matter who he is. It doesn't matter what his background is. L'fim Tzara Agra, Kadosh Baruch Hu sees our efforts, and that's how he judges us. It doesn't matter what we wear, how we speak, whether we know how to daven, we don't know how to daven. We're here in shul. We're here to learn. Hashem appreciates, and that's what He looks for in every person, his heart. Chmana liba boy. And my father Zacharia Rocha in Prague. If anyone knows a little bit about the history, hopefully it'll come out very soon. The story of how he treated every single person with the respect and dignity and love. Hashem should help. We have in our shul every type that walks in. One of our honorees is part of his avodas hakodesh is anybody comes in, he walks over to him, he gives a geschmack, he gives a good. And we have Atzola members, we have every type that come into our shul, and they show their love, and we show back their love. Hashem should help that we should be zoicha, because especially in this time where we need this unity, every person makes such a difference. We have to embrace every Yid and show our love. With that, Kadosh Baruch Hu will help. Taka Mashiach will come.
Vedil vedil ben kodesh lechoel chato eseinu yimechoel zareinu vechaspeinu yavre bekachoel vechakochovim balo elo vedil ben kodesh lechoel chato eseinu yimechoel zareinu vechaspeinu yavre bekachoel וחכוכבים בלילה. Gute Woche.
Rabbi Vorhand Shlita, Choshev Rabbanim. I could speak with authority of how crucial this base medrash is for our community. Not only does it draw us together on a night like this, but it does so every day of the year. I have personal experience many times where I'm running late coming home from Nebuch HaLevaya, or I'm arriving late from the airport. It's always very significantly important to know that there is always a reliable minyan, that if I don't make my minyan, I'll have one by you, sometimes 15 minutes later, sometimes a half hour later, sometimes an hour later. But so I am a member of the shul because I daven there quite often.
Thank you very much. We appreciate this honor immensely. I'm a relative newcomer to the Vorhand Shtibel, and I've become quick friends with the Rav, and I don't think I can say any more that's been said so far, only that it is a place of extreme hachnasas orchim, and that to meet Rabbi Vorhand is to see the past. Very quickly after you would meet him, he would explain to you what the shul represents, the history of the shul, and I can only hope that after 120 years that my children will speak about me as he speaks about his father, who must have been just a man beyond words. And I would quickly like to, I did some quick math, and it's been about half my life I've been on the west side. I don't have any deep roots here, so in many ways I'm an outsider, but I can say that this is a very, very special place. This has not been an easy few years since COVID. A lot of Batei Medrash and shuls have suffered, but when anyone ever asks me, so you're from Florida and you come up here? Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Well, for some people it is. I will say that coming here at this part of my life's journey, I can very confidently say that I never would have met the kind of people here that are down there. Not to disparage anyone down there, but this is a very, very special place. And none of us should ever forget that. It's a place worth working for fighting for. And I am overjoyed to be a small part of it.
But we're most privileged that despite his busy schedule, he finds time for being part of Congregation Heichal Moshe, the Vorhand Shul. He's there with such a smechel, such a geschmack to have you there. So without any further ado, let's give a special welcome and bracha to Yaakov Yosef Feldbaum on this much-deserved honor.
There's a lot of shuls in Manhattan, all over the world, and there are some shuls that the specialty of the shul is Torah, like shul, the main specialty is Torah. There are some shuls that have the main specialty is avodah, tefillah, davening. This is the specialty of this shul. There's some shuls that the specialty of the shul is chesed, gemilas chasudim, and there's a lot of houses like Bikei Cholim, chesed houses, Chabad houses, kidduv houses, all types of things. But everyone knows that this shul, Bes Medrash Heichal Moshe, Baruch Hashem, is all in one. It has Torah, it has avodah, it has gemilas chasudim, 24/7, available for anyone and everyone that is looking for a good place, a warm place to learn, to daven, to anything he needs. This is the best place to come. And of course, Kes Hashem Tav Oil Al Gabeim, it's the people that are on top of this place. This is the Rov and this is the Rebbetzin, that everyone knows that 24/7 they are always available and ready for anyone and everyone in need. Whoever needs something, they know where to call, and they are always available.
Hashivenu Hashem v'mayayelecha v'noshuv chadesh yomenu chadesh yomenu kekedem Hashivenu Hashem v'mashem v'noshuv chadesh yomenu chadesh yomenu chadesh
Daniel, thank you, Daniel, for everything. He's available if you need him for any events. We have now our guest speaker, Rabbi Daniel Gladstein, is world-renowned. He has thousands of recorded shiurim on Torah Anytime and elsewhere. It's a pleasure, a treat, and trust me, you'll enjoy it to hear Rabbi Gladstein say Divrei Torah, the Kavod, the Mesiba. Rabbi Gladstein Shlita.
Good Vach, everyone. It's a real honor to be here, to be associated with this Beis HaMedrash, this Torah Center, which is really the center of Jewish life here in the Upper West Side. Rishus Chashav Rabbanim, Rabbi Prager, Yedidi, Rabbi Simon Shlita, and of course the Marda Asra. It's a real honor to be representing the shul this evening, to be representing a kehila that's founded by the illustrious Prager Rav. You know, it's interesting, I just heard, and I just realized, about 1.5 years ago, I remembered a story that I heard many, many years ago, and I tried to verify it. It's a story about the Mashgiach, Ramatasio Solomon Zecher Tzadik Levracha. The story does not appear in print. It's not recorded anywhere. Nobody seemed to know anything about it. And I was sure that Rav Matisyahu Solomon said this story when he was inaugurated in the Lakewood Yeshiva. So I called up the Talmud Muvak of Rav Matisyahu. I said, did Rav Matisyahu say this story? He said, no. He said, I was there when Rav Matisyahu was inaugurated. He didn't say the story. I said, I'm positive he said the story. I said, who could I ask? He said, I don't know, call up his son-in-law. So I said, give me the son-in-law's number. I called up the oldest son-in-law, Rav Matisyahu Solomon. He said, it sounds vaguely familiar. Call my younger brother-in-law. Call Weinberg. So I called the youngest son-in-law, Rav Matisyahu Solomon. He said, yes. Rav Matisyahu said the story. When he was honored by the Lakewood Yeshiva about 15 years ago, Lakewood had a dinner in the Brooklyn Marriott, and they were honoring Rav Matisyahu Solomon. And the mashgiach gets up and he says, I want you to know, tonight, he turned the whole thing on its head. They're not honoring me. You're honoring my mother. What are you talking about? He said in 1941, Rav Aaron Cutler, his yeshiva in Kletsk had to move to Vilna. And then the Vad Hatzalah, the Rav's father was one of the leaders, the leader of the Vad Hatzalah. The Vad Hatzalah had a plan to rescue Rav Aaron Cutler from the clutches of the Nazis, and the plan was either via England or the United States of America. And they needed a volunteer in England to sit in a secured bunker on a designated evening by the phone for 24 hours. Maybe a call would come in to rescue Rav Aaron Cutler. And it turned out to be a Friday night. And they needed someone potentially to be Mechalel Shabbos, to sit by the phone on a Friday night. Maybe the call would come in to rescue Rav Aaron Cutler. And a young girl named Ethel Solomon volunteered to sit at the phone in a secured bunker like Miriam Hanaviyah, Vatesatza v'achoisei merochek l'deya ma yeyasolai. She sat by the phone, maybe to save the life of Rav Aaron Cutler. And 70 years later, Rav Matisyahu got up and he said, I am sure that the reason why he was zoiche to become the mashgiach of the Lakewood Yeshiva is in the merit of the Mesiras Nefesh of his mother, who like Miriam Hanaviyah, Vatesatzav achoisoi meirachoik l'deya ma yeyasalai. Friends, we don't understand the elevation, the aliyah that we have when we express concern, when we show heart for another Jew. You know, I have the opportunity a few times a year to lead a Jewish heritage trip to various places in Europe and other places in the world. I thank my good friend Reb Zev Brenner for, thank you Reb Zev for connecting me this evening. And we went on a particular trip, we went to Morocco last year. It was Parshas Vayechi, and they bring along a Sefer Torah. The Sefer Torah is like a mezuzah. It's a tiny Sefer Torah. And everybody knows that there's an unusual phenomenon in Parshas Vayechi. Rashi says, Lama Parshas Usasuma. Parshas Vayechi it's a sealed parsha. Typically, between the end of one parsha and the beginning of another parsha, you have a few spaces. The beginning of Vayechi, it's Tesuma Legamri. And the Baal Koirei could pashut, he could not tell the difference between the end of Vayigash and the beginning of Vayechi. And we're all familiar with the words of Rashi, Lama Parshas Usasuma. Rashi says, V'nei shekivon sheniftar Yaakov Avinu. When Yaakov Avinu passed away, Nistemu einehem v'liban shel Yisrael. The eyes and the heart of the Jewish people were sealed shut, V'nei tzaras hashibud, because of the bondage. You know, we sort of take the words of Rashi for granted, that the eyes and the heart of the Jewish people were sealed shut. Why does Rashi say that? Why does Rashi say that our eyes and our heart were sealed shut? Rashi should simply say, we were brutalized, we were tormented, we were tortured. Why the emphasis on the eyes and the heart? And I believe the Rebbeinu Shalom sent me a matanim and hashamayim. Why Rashi emphasizes the eyes and the heart? Because we come to this week's parsha, and we're all familiar with the famous pasuk, Vayigdal Moshe, Vayetzei Alechav, Vayar b'sivloisam. Let's review the simple words of Rashi, because they're treasures laden in the simple words of Rashi. What does Rashi say on the pasuk? Vayigdal Moshe, vayetze el echav. Says Rashi, Nasan einov v'liboy liois meitzar aleihem. Moshe Rabbeinu placed his heart and his eyes to feel the pain of the Jewish people. Now we know why you need eyes. Now we know why you need a heart. You need eyes to be able to see the pain of another Jew. You need a heart to be able to feel the pain of another Jew. So when Rashi says in Mitzrayim that our eyes and our heart were sealed shut, Rashi doesn't just mean we were in pain. Rashi means that we were so overwhelmed with our personal difficulty that we didn't have the emotional wherewithal to climb out of our personal distress and see what someone else is going through and feel someone else's pain. And you know what, friends? We all know how it is in life. We know how it is when we have our own sorrow, our own difficulty. It's very hard to even look or think about somebody else. And that's a very big problem, because that gets us into a very difficult cycle. Because if we don't have the wherewithal to see the pain of another Jew, and we don't have the wherewithal to feel the pain of another Jew, then God deals with us midah keneged midah. The Rebbeinu Shalom deals with us quid pro quo, measure for measure. And then Kiviyachal, the eye of heaven, says, well, I don't see your pain. And the big lave of Shamayim also says, I can't really feel your pain. Because if you can't see and feel the pain of someone else, then the Rebbeinu Shalom deals with us the same way. And then as they say, Houston, we've got a problem. Because how are we ever going to get out of this mess? So comes Rabban U'Moshiach Shel Yisrael. Comes the Raya Mehemna, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is waiting for someone to break the cycle. And what does Moshe Rabbeinu do? Vayar esiv loisam. Nosan eina v'liba liyos meitzar aleim. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'm going to break the cycle. So Moshe Rabbeinu opens up his eye. Moshe Rabbeinu opens up his heart. And then the Rebbeinu Shalom says, I've been waiting for somebody to do this for a very long time. Because when you open up your eye, and you open up your heart, then the Rebbeinu Shalom responds in kind. And the Rebbeinu Shalom looks down from Shamayim and he sees acutely what we're going through. And the Rebbeinu Shalom feels our pain very sharply. Friends, Ure'ei ze pele. A few psukim later, listen to this. Vayar Eloikim es b'nei Yisrael, vayeda Eloikim, zakt Rashi, Nasan aleihem leiv, v'loi ha'elam einav. A pele, simple Rashi. The Rebbeinu Shalom says that's all it took. I just needed one man to open up his eye to look at another Jew. I needed one person to feel the pain of another Jew. And the Rebbeinu Shalom immediately responded in kind. Nasan aleihem leiv, v'loi ha'elam einav. You know, there's a big movement today, and it's a very important movement. Shmiras ha'einayim. A Jew has to be very careful what they look at. A Jew has to make sure they only see proper images. But at the same time, you have to have your eyes open. What's the person next to me going through? What's he feeling? Can I make him more comfortable? Can I help him with something? Can I help her with something? Do they need help with their children, with their family, with their shidduch? Looking out, feeling what other people are going through. Marv Rabbeisai, in this week's Parsha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a Shalom Aleichem to Moshe Rabbeinu. Did you know that until Parsha Shemos, the Rebbeinu Shalom never communicated with Moshe? And all of a sudden, the Rebbeinu Shalom comes to Moshe, Vayera Elav mitoich hasneh. Says Rashi, why a sneh? Hashem tells Moshe, Shalom Aleichem. Do you know who I am? Hashem could have said many things. He could have said, I'm Shakai, I'm Tzvakos, I'm Alekim. The Rebbeinu Shalom has many names. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, Moshe Shalom Aleichem. The name is Imay Anoichi B'Tzara. That was the intro of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu. Why is this the first message Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu? Because Rebbeinu Shalom is telling Moshe how you're going to get out of the mess. You know how you're going to get out of this mess? When you feel the pain of another Jew. Because when you see and you feel, the Rebbeinu Shalom responds in kind. Comes the Mashgiach, Rav Matisyahu Solomon. I'm going to tell you a vart. When I hear this vart, my soul quivers. It's really a remarkable observation. Does anybody know, in Kol HaTorah Kula, is the Rebbeinu Shalom ever referred to as the one who resides in the thorn bush? Who's the Rebbeinu Shalom? Oh, the Rebbeinu Shalom. He's the one who resides in the thorn bush. Once, at the end of the Torah, to Yosef HaTzadik. The pasuk says, "Ulu Yosef Amar, Mevoireches Hashem Artzai, Mi Meged Shemayim Eyal, Umi Tahoimroi Vetzes Tachas, Umi Meged Gerash Yirachim." Who does this bracha go to, by the way? Friends, it's a big bracha. You know, the best real estate in Israel is the land of Yosef. I know you want to invest here. I'm giving you good advice tonight. The most fertile, lush real estate in the land of Israel, Rashi says, Ein lecha eretz mivoireches k'moi artzoi shel Yosef. Why was Yosef zoiche to the best bracha of all the Shvatim? Says the Mashgiach, there's a Baal HaTurim. The Baal HaTurim says twice in Tanakh we have the word Ule Yosef. One is at the end of the Torah. Ule Yosef Amar mivoireches Hashem artzoi. The other one is at the end of Bereshis. Ule Yosef Yulad Shnei Banim B'terem Tavai Shnasarav. That Yosef had children before the famine. But once the famine began, Yosef says, the world is suffering, I'm not going to engage in pleasure. So Yosef had children before the famine. Says the Baal HaTurim, why was Yosef zoiche to the greatest bracha of all the Shvatim? Because Yosef was an imay anoichi b'tzara. Yosef said, if people are suffering, I'm not going to enjoy myself. Yosef felt the pain of other people. And the Rebbeinu Shalom says, I like that. That's my kind of tzaddik. That's my kind of midah. Says the Mashgiach, Rav Matisyahu, you know why the Rebbeinu Shalom is called the Shoich Nisneh in the bracha to Yosef HaTzadik? Because the Rebbeinu Shalom is telling Yosef, you know why you got the bracha? You know why you hit the jackpot? You know why you won it big? Because you learned the lesson that I taught Moshe at the thorn bush. That it's important to be an imay anoichi b'tzara. That's the hallmark characteristic of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the hallmark characteristic of a Jew. To feel someone else's pain. And therefore, Ule Yosef Amar Mevoireches Hashem Artzai. Who's giving it? The Ritzoin Shoichni Sideh. You know, the Mashgiach came to Lakewood in 1997. He moved next door to a family, the Epstein family. Epstein family, they had kids the same age as Rav Matisyahu's kids. They grew up together, they made simchas together. They were almost like family. Rav Matisyahu's daughter became a kala. Everyone was excited for the wedding. They were both families, the Solomon family, the Epstein family, everyone was going to be dancing at this wedding. Shortly before the wedding, Rabbi Epstein passed away. So now none of the family could go to the wedding. None of the Epstein girls could go to the wedding. And Rav Matisyahu told his family, okay, we're excited for our simcha. Nobody could say a word about the simcha in earshot of the Epsteins. It's not right. They're ba'avelos. The day of the wedding, the Epstein family comes home. There's a note on the door. To our dear family, kindly do not make dinner this evening. The caterer is going to be coming to your house to serve you the wedding meal in your house, because if you can't be at the wedding, but at least you'll be mishtatef because we're bringing the wedding to you. And then shortly after, the photographer came over because Rav Matisyahu asked the photographer to develop the pictures at the time of the wedding so that they could also feel and be mishtatef a little bit at the wedding. So this is not just an idea that the Mashgiach taught, this is an idea that the Mashgiach breathed. This is the hallmark characteristic of a Jew. But there's an even higher level. There's a higher level than feeling the pain of someone else. Because did you know that when Hashem comes to Moshe Rabbeinu and says, Moshe, I have a great job for you. Moshe says, what would you like? Hashem says, I would like you to take the Jewish people out of Egypt. So Moshe Rabbeinu demurs, he says, Shlach na biyat tishlach. What do you want from me? Give it to Aaron. Who's Aaron? Rashi says Aaron was a Navi. Moshe wasn't a Navi yet. Aaron was a Navi. Does anybody know? When did Aaron ever say Nevuah? When did he ever receive Nevuah? So Rashi brings, you look in Yecheskel, you look in Shmuel, the Rebbeinu Shalom comes to the Beis Eli, and he says, by the way, I told your Zayda, Aaron HaKohen, in Mitzrayim, to tell the Jews to get rid of their idolatry. So Aaron was already a Navi before Moshe. Anybody know how old Aaron was when he received prophecy? The Medrash Tanchuma says Aaron had already been a Navi for 80 years before the Rebbeinu Shalom ever said a word to Moshe Rabbeinu. And he had received Nevuah non-stop for 80 years. So Moshe says, we never even spoke before. Why are you giving me the job? Give it to Aaron. So the question is, what did Aaron do? 80 years earlier, how old was Aaron? He was 3 years old. Aaron was a Navi from the age of 3. What did Aaron do from the age of 3 that he was Zocheh to Nevuah? And the answer is, we only know one thing that Aaron HaKohen did. There's a very interesting pasuk that we read just this week. The pasuk says about Basia Bas Paroi that she sees Vateres Hayeled, V'hinei nar boicha, Vatachmal alav. And they said, Miyaldei ha'ivrim zeh. So again, the Baal HaTurim is troubled. What is this kid? It starts off by saying that he's a Yeled, Vateres Hayeled, and then it says, V'hinei nar boicha, and then it says, Miyaldei, is he a Yeled or is he a nar? So the Baal HaTurim says, we're talking about two different people here. You see, Basia Bas Paroi sees a baby. That's the Yeled. That's Moshe. Moshe wasn't the one crying. V'hinei nar boicha. Who is crying? Says the Baal HaTurim. Nar boicha is gematria zeh Aaron HaKohen. Aaron was crying. So now Basia says, let's do some detective work. The brother is crying. Must be, the Archaim HaKadosh writes in his drashas, for a brother to cry over a brother, miyaldei ha'ivrim zeh, it must be a Jewish child. Only a Jewish child could cry for his brother. You know what Aaron HaKohen did at age 3? I saw in a sefer from Reb Shlomo Arieli, the brother of Rabbi Arieli, Rapduni b'tapuchim. We only know one thing that Aaron did at age 3. He's able to cry for his brother. You could cry for your brother. You have the heart necessary, you have the tools necessary for God to communicate with you. That's what Aaron HaKohen did at age 3. We're like Aaron HaKohen. We're standing at the riverbank. The river, we'll call it the Atlantic Ocean. And on the other side of the river, we have brothers and sisters suffering in Eretz Yisrael. Are we going to be the nar boicha at the very least, to cry, to feel the pain, to feel the tsar? You can't just go a day, oilam kimin hagay noyeg, just walk around like everything is okay. At the very least, you have to be able to shed a tear, to feel the pain. You know what kind of an aliyah that will bring you? But did you know that at age 3, even though Aaron HaKohen was a Navi, there's something he wasn't yet. There was something that it took him another 80 years to accomplish. Because 80 years later, Moshe Rabbeinu meets Aaron. He says, dear breeder, guess what? I got a promotion. So Aaron says, what's the promotion? Moshe said, Hashem asked me to take the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim. And Aaron HaKohen mustered up the Taras Halev, that he wasn't stingy, he wasn't jealous. V'racha v'samach b'liboy. Aaron HaKohen was happy for his brother. Marv Rabbi said, do you know where that momentous achievement was accomplished? Behar Ho'elokim. That's the first mention of Har Sinai. You think it was for naught that the Rebbeinu Shalom chose Har Sinai. Whatever happened on Har Sinai, it's the makom that a brother rejoiced over the simcha of another yid. That's the place where the Rebbeinu Shalom wants to give the Torah. So what happened? Hashem says, you know, Aaron, you have such purity of heart. You are zoicha to wear the choshen on your heart. You know, 80 years earlier, Aaron HaKohen was not awarded the choshen on his heart. Why couldn't Aaron have the choshen 80 years earlier when he cried for Moshe Rabbeinu? Says Reb Shlomo Arieli, we see a very important lesson in human dynamic. It's not so hard to feel pain for another Jew. Someone's suffering, my heart goes out to you. Someone has a difficulty, what can I do to help you? It's a much higher level to rejoice in someone else's success. That's a very high madrega. Human being has a certain jealousy, a certain stinginess. I'm there to help you. My heart hurts and goes out for you. But if someone else is being honored, or someone else has a success, or someone else is having nachas from their family, it requires a very pure heart to feel unadulterated joy for someone else. You know, there's a big discussion. People like going to simchas, weddings, bar mitzvahs. What's the most important part of a simcha? Big machlokes, the kugel, the cholent. The most important part of a simcha is to feel happy for the Baal Simcha. That's why you go to a simcha. If you could go to a simcha and you tell the Baal Simcha, you know, I feel happy for you. You go to the honoree, I'm happy for you. You deserve it. You look at the guy next to you. He has a beautiful mishpacha. He has nachas from his children. He has nachas maybe from grandchildren. Feel happy for them. That's one of the highest achievements you could accomplish as a Jew in this world. So I conclude by telling you, dear friends, I am happy for you that you have such a wonderful Rav and Rebbitzin at your helm. You should enjoy them. Gesundheit, Ad Bias Goel Tzedek, Agatavach. Thank you.
ושם מסביב לעולם יש צרות, דאגות, החיוך נעלם מחר תראה רק שחור כי גם זה יעבור והכל יסתדר כי השם יעזור יש תקווה אם נשאיר כולנו יחד יש אמונה חזקה מכל הפחד לא ניפול, לא נרד כי אנחנו לא לבד יש לנו השם אחד יש תקווה אם נשאיר כולנו יחד יש אמונה חזקה מכל הפחד לא נטפול, לא נרד כי אנחנו לא לבד יש לנו השם אחד היחי בוא איתי שים ידך בידי אל תדאג, אל תפחד, כי ניצד יד ביד הקדוש ברוך הוא את